Hello everyone, I am Zahid Abbas. In this video we are going to learn about cube roots of unity in detail. Cube roots of unity. The first thing we need to know is what is unity. It's nothing but 1. That is, unity is the other name of 1. So cube roots of unity means cube roots of 1. Hence this video is about cube roots of 1. Before moving forward, let me ask a question that I usually ask from my students in the class. That is, what is square root of 4? Normally the students answer it is 2. I appreciate them and ask one more question. What is the number which when squared gives 4? They answer it's 2. I ask, is there any number other than 2 whose square is 4? Normally the students answer no sir. And then I ask, what is the square of negative 2? They think a bit and answer, it's the 4 also. I say, dear students, square and square root are reverse operations. That is, if square of 2 is 4, then square root of 4 is 2. Mathematically, if 2 squared is 4, then square root of 4 is 2. Similarly, if negative 2 squared is 4, then square root of 4 is negative 2. So there are two numbers, 2 and negative 2, whose square is 4. Hence, square roots of 4 are two numbers, 2 and negative 2. Mathematically, square root of 4 is equal to plus minus 2. The next question I ask, now tell me, what are square roots of 1? They tell me 1 and minus 1. I give them thumbs up and say yes. As the square of both 1 and negative 1 is 1, so square root of 1 is equal to plus minus 1. Then I say, let's prove it algebraically. Suppose x is the number whose square is 1. That is, x squared is 1. And if x squared is 1, then x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. We can write it as x squared minus 1 squared is equal to 0, and product of x minus 1 and x plus 1 is equal to 0, as a squared minus b squared is equal to product of two factors a minus b and a plus b. And if it is, then either x minus 1 is 0 or x plus 1 is 0. And so either x is 1 or x is negative 1. Hence 1 and negative 1 are the numbers whose square is 1. Therefore, square root of 1 is equal to plus minus 1. And then I come to the main topic and ask the question, what is cube root of 1? I add a little bit explanation by saying, when I ask what is cube root of 1, actually I mean what is the number whose cube is 1. They answer, it's 1. I say yes, as the cube of 1 is 1, so cube root of 1 is also 1. Mathematically, as 1 cubed is equal to 1, so cube root of 1 is 1. And then I add a question, is there any number other than 1 whose cube is 1? They say, no sir, there is not any number other than 1 whose cube is 1. I ask, what's about negative 1? Is it cube root of 1? A few brilliant students reply, no sir. They add, as cube of negative 1 is negative 1, so cube root of negative 1 is negative 1. I say, well done guys. Yes, negative 1 is not the cube root of 1. It is the cube root of negative 1. And then I say, let's try algebraic test for it as well. Suppose x is the number whose cube is 1. That is, x cubed is equal to 1. And if x cubed is 1, then x cubed minus 1 is equal to 0. We can write it as x cubed minus 1 cubed is equal to 0. And so, product of x minus 1 and x square plus x plus 1 is equal to 0, because a cubed minus b cubed is equal to product of two factors a minus b and a square plus ab plus b squared. And it means either x minus 1 is equal to 0 or x squared plus x plus 1 is equal to 0. When x minus 1 is 0, then x is 1. But what's about the other factor? We have to solve it for x using quadratic formula. In the equation x square plus x plus 1 equals 0, a is 1, b is 1 and c is also 1. The quadratic formula states x is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac whole divided by 2a. By substituting values, we get x is equal to negative 1 plus minus square root of 1 squared minus 4 into 1 whole divided by 2 into 1. After simplification, we get x is equal to negative 1 plus minus square root of negative 3 whole divided by 2, and then x is equal to negative 1 plus minus square root of 3 into square root of negative 1 whole divided by 2, which is equal to negative 1 plus minus square root of 3 into iota whole divided by 2. So two more cube roots of 1 are negative 1 plus minus square root of 3 into iota whole divided by 2 and negative 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2. So there are three cube roots of 1 in total. 1, negative 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 and negative 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2. But if 1, negative 1 plus square root of 3 iota divided by 2 and negative 1 negative under root 3 iota whole divided by 2 are cube roots of 1, then cube of each of them must be equal to 1. Let's check it. Number 1, 1 cubed is equal to 1 times 1 times 1 and that is equal to 1. Number 2, cube of negative 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 is equal to cube of negative 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 8. We simplify it. And get minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota into 1 minus 2 into square root of 3 iota plus 3 into minus 1 whole divided by 8 as iota squared is equal to minus 1. We simplify it further. And finally get 8 divided by 8 which is equal to 1. Similarly, we can prove that cube of Negative 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 is equal to 1. Note that among these three cube roots of 1, the first one 1 is real, but other two roots minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 and minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 are complex. For convenience, we name minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 as omega and minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 as omega squared. Read this symbol as omega. Properties of cube roots of unity. Property number 1. Among three cube roots of unity, the one is real and the other two roots are complex. Other two cube roots are complex. Property number 2. The cube of each cube root of unity is 1. We have already proved it. Symbolically, we can write number 1, 1 cubed is 1. Number 2, cube of omega is 1. And number 3, cube of omega square is also equal to 1. Property number 3. Sum of all the three cube roots of unity is 0. That is 1 plus omega squared is equal to 0. Proof. 1 plus omega squared is equal to 1 plus minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 plus minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2. We simplify it and finally get it is equal to 0. Deduction. Sum of any two cube roots of 1 is equal to negative of the third. That is 1 plus omega is equal to negative omega squared, as 1 plus omega squared is 0. Similarly, 1 plus omega squared is equal to negative omega and omega plus omega squared is equal to negative 1. Property number 4. Product of all the three cube roots of unity is 1. That is 1 times omega square is equal to 1. Proof. 1 times omega square is equal to 1 multiply minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 into minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2. We simplify it and get it is equal to 1. Property number 5. Product of two complex cube roots of unity is also 1. That is omega times omega squared is 1. Proof. Omega times omega squared is equal to minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2 into minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2. We simplify it and finally get it is equal to 1 as well. Deduction. As the product of two complex cube roots is 1, so they are multiplicative inverse of each other. That is omega times omega squared is 1. Number 2. Two complex cube roots are reciprocal of each other as well. That is, as omega times omega squared is 1, so omega is equal to 1 by omega squared and omega squared is equal to 1 by omega. Property number 6. Two complex cube roots of unity are square of each other. That is, square of omega is equal to omega squared and square of omega square is equal to omega. Proof number 1. Square of omega is equal to square of minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2. We try to simplify it and get it becomes equal to minus 1 minus under root 3 iota whole divided by 2, which is equal to omega squared. Proof number 2. Omega squared whole square, that is equal to square of minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2. We try to simplify it as well. And in the end we get it is equal to minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2, which is equal to omega. Property number 7. Two complex cube roots of 1 are conjugate of each other. That is, conjugate of omega is equal to omega squared and conjugate of omega squared is equal to omega. Proof number 1. Conjugate of omega is equal to conjugate of minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2, which is equal to minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2, and it is equal to omega squared. Proof number 2. Conjugate of omega squared is equal to conjugate of minus 1 minus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2, and it is equal to minus 1 plus square root of 3 iota whole divided by 2, which is equal to omega. Property number 8. Any higher power of omega can be expressed in terms of one of 3 cube roots of 1. For example, omega raised to power 10 can be simplified as omega raised to power 10 is equal to omega cubed raised to power 3 dot omega, which becomes equal to omega in the end. Similarly, omega raised to power 11 is equal to omega cubed raised to power 3 times omega squared, and it becomes equal to omega squared in the end. And omega raised to power 12 is equal to omega cubed raised to power 4, which is equal to 1 cubed, and that is equal to 1. An easy approach to simplify such types of expression is as follows. Suppose we have to simplify omega raised to power 100. We shall divide 100 by 3 and look for the remainder. 100 divided by 3, 3 times 3 is 9, subtract 9 from 10, it is equal to 1, transpose 0 below, now it is the number 10, 3 times 3 is 9, subtract 9 from 10, and remainder is 1. It would be the power of omega in simplified form. That is, omega raised to power 100 is equal to omega raised to power 1, which is omega. Let's try another example. Now we try to simplify omega raised to power 50. We shall divide 50 by 3 and find the remainder. 50 divided by 3. And the 2 is the remainder. So omega raised to power 50 is equal to omega squared. Bonus point. We know cube roots of 1 are 1, omega and omega squared. Also note that cube roots of minus 1 are minus 1, minus omega and minus omega squared. And this was all about this video. See you soon with the next video.